Okay, writers. Last class, we looked at the three types of real-world writing and speaking. So we discussed opinion pieces, informational and explanatory pieces, and narrative pieces. And we talked about how our opinion, persuade, and inform, explain essays are really similar. So we call them our non-narrative brothers, and then we have our narrative sister over here. So we know our opinion, persuade, or inform, or explain essays are going to be made up of really similar parts. So if I have inform, explain, I'm going to have a topic statement. And then if I have inform, I'm going to have parts. And remember, those are parts because they have to go in any certain order. If I have an explain essay, then I need my steps, which do need to go in a certain order. And I'm always going to have an introduction, and I'm always going to have a closing. If I have an opinion persuade essay, instead of a topic statement, I'm going to start a thesis statement that includes my claim, and then I'm going to have my reasons. And that's how the body of my essay will be organized. And I'll have an intro and closing, just like in the inform, explain. So what we need to talk about is, how do I organize myself? So before I write the essay, how do I organize my ideas? So I want to show you two things today. I want to show you the big T, and I want to show you what we're going to call a brain drop. Okay? All right, so you all are actually going to make your big T just like me. You've got your sheet of paper in front of you, and you've got something to write with. And the first thing you do is make a long box, rectangle. Okay? You do that? Okay. Watch. This is difficult. It's called the big T, right? You need to draw a line right down the middle. That makes it my T. Yeah? Okay. So let's start with 2 bullets out here. Give yourself those little dots. All right, so I know the big T is going to look like this. Okay? So I'm going to start here with my topic or thesis statement. And then here I'm going to have my first step or part or reason. Okay? And my next step or part or reason. And these could go on as many steps or parts or reasons I have. And then over here is going to be your word bank. And we'll talk about what that means. Your word bank would have any ideas that you need to cover in your essay. All right, so that's the big T. And I'll give you an idea of how to use it in just a minute. All right, so I talked about the brain dump. So I want you guys to try this with me. Okay, so let's say you're thinking of writing out your favorite place. Okay, so I'm going to make myself a little space here in the corner. Okay, and I'm going to do my brain drop on Sheboygan, Michigan, my favorite place. And what I want to do is I want to brainstorm a list of 10 words, okay, that are related to Sheboygan. And the only rule is that I can't use like dangling adjectives like awesome or cool, okay? So Sheboygan, Michigan, beach, family, videos, weather, sledding, friends, library, lake, pool, and let's say bonfire. Okay, now I'm gonna look at my list and I'm gonna see if I have any categories. I think I do. It seems like I have sort of like activities like bonfire, sledding, and then I'm going to change beach to swimming, and I'm going to put that in that category. All right, and then I have people, like friends and family, okay? And then I have places, like the pool and the lake and the library and Vivio's. All right, so now I'm going to try out my big T. So I'm going to make my box, okay? And because this is my favorite place, what kind of essay do we think this is? Probably in form. I'm telling you about my favorite place. So my favorite place is Sheboygan, Michigan. All right, and to make my big T, I need that line, right? And then I had 3 categories. So I'm going to have 3 parts, okay? So what did we decide? One part is things to do. And one part is people. And one part is places. Okay. Now what about my word bank over here? So things to do. What did I have? I had swimming. And I had sledding. And I had bonfire. Okay. Well, what other words do those make me think of? So maybe about the Great Lakes. Maybe like my daughter splashing in the waves. The lighthouses that you can see. Maybe bonfire makes me think of like s'mores and bugs, and sledding makes me think it's cold, right? It makes me think of like laughter and playing or being playful, okay? And then people, I had family and friends, right? So I visit with a lot of my high school friends when I come home. Family, like a lot of times we'll celebrate birthdays when I'm home. Holidays, like I spend Christmas at home. And that makes me think that over here I need to add church as one of my places. What else about people? That's pretty good for right now. So places, I had Vivio's, which makes me think of pizza because that's a pizza place, and it also makes me think of taxidermy because there's all kinds of stuffed animals on the wall. My family always goes there. Library. So I take my daughter there in the summer for their summer reading program, and she really likes that. And then pool. We go to Duncan Bay to the yacht club with my friend Robin and swim in the pool. Lake. And I guess maybe lighthouses actually goes here with lake. So then I'm looking at these, and sort of the next step I can take is I can look at my word bank and I can think, what is my organizational pattern going to be here? So how am I going to organize this information? So things to do, it looks like I have some summer and winter things. So I could maybe compare and contrast what there is to do in the summer versus what there is to do in the winter. And places, I could maybe do a description And then here, where I'm looking at people, I think I could maybe do some kind of problem solution, because it's like so many people to see, so little time. Okay, so you can see here how the big T would work for inform, but I can show you how it would work for persuade as well. So let me show you what that looks like. So let's say I wanted to take inform a step further, okay? And I wanted to write about my opinion, okay? So let me make my big T. Okay, and my opinion is that Sheboygan, Michigan, or actually, I think I'm going to change this to Northern Michigan so I can open my scope a bit, is a great place to visit. Okay, so now it's not my favorite place is Sheboygan, Michigan, where I'm just informing you. Now it's Northern Michigan is a great place to visit. That's my opinion. You might disagree. Okay? And so I want to write about a couple of things. So I'm going to add my reasons here. So because there is a lot to do and many places to visit. Okay, so one place, or I'm sorry, so there's a lot to do. So let's name that activities and then places to visit. So I have 2 reasons because those are the 2 I put in my thesis statement. Activities, my word bank is going to look a lot like it just did, right? So there's swimming, skiing, sledding, there's boating and shopping and eating. And now some of these I might decide to explore more in places to visit, and we can talk about that later. But so I'm going to have some of the same words here, right? I'm thinking about swimming, I'm thinking about splashing, I'm thinking about playing, I'm thinking about, you know, the wind in your hair when you're sledding or skiing. I'm thinking about the wildlife you might see when you spend time outside. So maybe I decide to focus on outdoor activities, okay? And then I'm going to think about places to visit, okay? So where are some places that you can visit? And I'm going to put some of those same places. So Vito's, which is one of my favorite restaurants, and the Great Lakes, okay? And maybe put Mackinac Island, okay? And then I'm thinking about, you know, Vivio's is a good place for food. Maybe I'm going to use the word restaurant in there. I'm probably going to talk about those animals. Stuffed. I'm probably going to talk about the lighthouses that you can see. I might talk about the beach. I'm going to talk a lot about history because that's Mackinac Island, and I'm going to talk about historic forts, and those are colonial, just like we have colonial history around here. And I'm going to talk about fudge and horses and ferry boats because those are all related to Mackinac Island. So I just took the same organizer I used for an inform essay and used it to prepare myself for a persuade essay. And I didn't talk about organization within my paragraphs, but I can talk about that. So here, now I have outdoor activities. Well, I'm probably not going to use compare or contrast because I decided to focus on outdoor activities. So here I might use a description. I might just describe these different activities. But for places to visit, I might decide to use compare contrast, right?
to talk about, you know, Northern Michigan is a great place to visit because there are many places to visit. Okay, well, you know, which ones would appeal most to you depending on what you like, right? So I need to be able to think about how am I going to explain to people that they should visit Northern Michigan, right? If they really like staying inside, well, then I'm probably not going to recommend that they go to the lake, but I might recommend that they go to Vivio's and enjoy a meal. Okay, so that's how I'm going to appeal to them, and I need to think about that when I'm writing persuasively.